to this fall series of Healing Conversations in 2012. I'm Loren Gailey. This season, we've got a lot of great information to share with you that will expand your consciousness and open your heart. All of the 24-plus speakers that are gathering for this season are quite impressive, as you'll learn. This is show number 7 of the fall series, and today we are going to talk about Lemuria, Mu, the great motherland of Earth. My guest today is Pat Crosby, a channel for the Cosmic Councils of Light, an assembly of light beings that she works with and receives messages from. She's also an author and workshop leader. Pat, thank you so much for joining us on Healing Conversations.
Thank you, Loren. It's a total pleasure to be here with you and your audience.
You have got some beautiful messages and information on Lemuria. We're going to get to that. First, let's start with you and how you came to be aware of this communication that you have with all these beings.
It's a very gradual process for me, Loren. I had my spiritual awakening in November of 1981, and for the next 20 years I practiced a path of deep meditation and personal clearing of a lot of emotional and physical issues that we pick up when we live here in a human body on the earth plane. And somewhere about 2001, 2002, 2000, I started having very conscious communication with beings who identified themselves. Actually, the first one was Archangel Metatron, who came to me and spoke as clearly as you and I are speaking from another dimension and said, I want you to go to Mount Shasta and go to a festival out there. So with no doing on my part, a ticket materialized for the event, for the airfare, a hotel staying at the beautiful Stewart Mineral Springs for those who've been to Mount Shasta. And as I was flying in the airplane, I looked out the window and saw this angelic being of beautiful rainbow colors, stripes of light, in the soft rainbow colors, what I now call the goddess colors, the soft pinks, the fuchsias, the lavenders, flying outside the plane in the Superman pose with his arms outstretched, flying with his face looking at me through the plane window, smiling broadly, saying, I am Metatron, and I am taking you to Mount Shasta. I had no understanding at the time of these events, since I had done a traditional yogic meditation path. And there wasn't so much on the internet in 2000, I think that was 2000, actually maybe it was 2001, somewhere in there. So this was all very new to me. But the loving energy was so strong. And of course I had profound experiences on Mount Shasta, as everyone does who goes there. That was the Joshua David Stone event. He used to have the Wesak Festival, and he's just an incredible being. He's on the other side now. But the energy at that event was so powerful. And then we went up in the mountain. I went with some people who were already conversant and channeling with Saint Germain, so I had some wonderful encounters with this beautiful violet energy that we know as Saint Germain and his tremendous healing and love for humanity. That was my first introduction to consciously communicating with these ascended masters and with these beautiful angelic presences.
So when you first communicated or had a visit from Archangel Metatron, had you studied much about him, or did he just say his name and then you looked him up?
At that time, there wasn't so much on the internet to look up. I did know his name, and that's an interesting question, how I knew his name. Maybe he with Archangel Michael are two of the most popularly known of the archangels. That's the interesting question you presented me with, Loren, because as in later years now I've been channeling with some other spirit guides such as Rochelle, I've had to very consciously extract their name from the etheric sound vibration from other dimensions. But in this case, he clearly announced, "I am Metatron, taking you to Mount Shasta," in perfect English. Mm-hmm. So I'll have to contemplate on this question and see if I can refine my answer. Thank you for giving me something new to explore.
Well, I asked that because he was taking you to Mount Shasta, and the tickets materialized, like you said. What did you learn in Mount Shasta? Who did you meet? How did your life change from there?
The energy of Mount Shasta, as in all sacred sites, is very powerful and unique and definitely raises your vibration. For the first time, I met a concentration of people that we would now call light workers, people who consciously work with beings of higher frequency and high light quotient, who work with humanity collectively and individually to help us evolve, meaning raise our vibrations spiritually and bring that energy into the physical dimension as part of this great shift that we're undergoing right now. So being around a room of several hundred people who were already knowing these things and practicing them and experiencing and channeling showed me a whole new aspect of our spiritual capability that I did not know existed at that time. I remember we went to one of the local people's backyard there, and she had what she called a Mary shrine. And I stepped into this little area, maybe 3 feet wide, at the most 3 feet in diameter, and circled with bushes, and she had a statue of Mary, the Divine Mother, there. And as soon as I stepped into that circle, my other vision clicked on, and I was aware of being in this beautiful mist of soft blue light and just this emanation of love sweeping through me. And I said, wow, that is so beautiful. It's the most powerful experience of being in a church, in this case, a natural church in someone's backyard, that I had consciously experienced in such a profound and visual way. When we went up on Mount Shasta, a small group of people I met at the event, we drove up and sat up near Bunny Flat is the top of the parking lot there, and then the Panther Meadow. But we went to a small area that we were guided under a big tree surrounded by stones, and this particular person, who was already an accomplished channel, called in Saint Germain, and because I was already clairvoyant at that stage in my journey, I could see this beautiful, violent energy like a large flame come and go, touching the heart-to-heart of each person in the circle. There were maybe 5 or 6 of us. And then the person who was doing the channel gave voice to the communication in English for our human ears, what this flame of light, this being that we call, I'm stumbling for names because suddenly my vision is open up and I'm seeing a much bigger picture of this flame as I'm speaking, but we'll leave it at Saint Germain for this conversation. This beautiful energy was flowing into our hearts and caressing us and giving individual messages for healing. That was so tangible. And then the event itself, I was recently talking with Randy Monk, who works closely with Rona Herman, and I believe that was the event that she channeled at, because there were a channel panel there. And Randy actually met Rona there, and in hindsight, that was the first time I heard her channel Archangel Michael. And she is such a beautiful presence, and I always experience the beautiful, loving, soft blue light that I identify with my experiences of Archangel Michael. So this opened up whole new realms of understanding and possibilities for me, Loren, to meet beings who had come together with this purpose of consciously communicating with forces of light from higher dimensions.
It's so fascinating that you're able to experience it, and you have those tangible experiences of pure love and knowingness. The sacred site trips that you do around the world, those have got to change the lives of people that witness those. And so we'll get there. When you were in Mount Shasta, what about the Lemurians? Did you learn about the Lemurians then? Did you hear of them? And let's talk about Telos.
Seed was planted for me on that trip, Loren, that I needed to come back and spend more time on Mount Shasta. For that trip, I was there maybe 4 or 5 days, and most of it was at the conference down in Weed, I believe is the high school they use for their conferences there, the big auditorium. But as I was sadly leaving the whole energy of Mount Shasta, my heart cried out, oh, this is so beautiful. I would like to come and spend more time here. And then a presence said to me, and as I'm telling you, I'm getting that it was Archangel Metatron, said, yes, come back when you have 10 days and come and stay on the mountain for 10 days. Several years had to pass before I could manage to fly back from New York to the West Coast and go up and spend 10 days on Mount Shasta. And finally, September of one year, that opened up for me after the tourist season and before the glacier snows came in and closed most of the mountain. I flew out and rented a little van and put a sleeping bag in the back and camped out for 10 nights all the way at the highest parking lot above Panther Meadow, the one that's, I think it's, is it 10,000, 13,000 feet. It's way at the top of the mountain. And I slept there under the stars at night in the van, and then during the day I walked around and did chants and discovered interdimensional doorways and learned about guardian rocks and guardian stones. I met the Hathors. I met some Lemurian beings, beautiful beings of golden light who communicated to me telepathically. The Hathors gave me some healing sounds to make to help clear and precipitate sludge out of my emotional body. And I didn't have any book knowledge about these at the time. And I think that was good because I had no preconceptions. And my radar was, does it feel loving? Does it feel nurturing? Does it feel good? And does it feel safe? And my experience there, and then subsequently at other sacred sites I was guided to go to, has been absolutely, these are the markers, the barometers of being in a truly warm, embracing, divinely guided energy pool with a collection of beings who are here in loving service to our planet and to humanity.
For the entire conversation, visit acoustichealth.com and click on Radio Show and register for the 24-show series of healing conversations. I now leave you with music from the universe, literally created by the universe, as musical composer Phil Windsor assigned musical notes to mathematical equations, and the result is this beautiful music. Visit acoustichealth.com.